Coming up on today's San Francisco 49ers Report by Chat Sports, I'm Chase Sr. The Niners are 7 practices into training camp, so I'm bringing you my training camp winners and losers part 1, and I am coming to you on a boat from the Belgrade Lake section of Maine in a small town called Rome. It is absolutely beautiful out here. And I was just in Cancun for a buddy's bachelor party who I work with, Mitchell Renz, the host of the Raiders Report, and still recovering from that trip, by the way. Now I'm in Maine for a couple of days for a final reset before the NFL season really starts to ramp up. A lot of people don't know that I also cover the NBA here at Chat Sports, so pretty much I've been grinding covering the NFL and NBA calendar from August through July. So now having my own training camp and a little bit of rest here in Maine, ran 6 miles, swam a mile here today, trying to get in shape for the NFL season. We have a lot of watch parties to do, so appreciate everybody's patience. Still been putting out content every single day here on the Niners Report, but I will be here until next Tuesday, back in the studio next Wednesday, so I will be bringing you some shows from Maine talking Niners because there is plenty to get to. And without further ado, let's take a look first at my Niners training camp winners, a weekend in Niners training camp. And I want to begin with Jordan Mason. Been drawing the attention of head coach Kyle Shanahan, who said the third-year running back, former UDFA out of Georgia Tech, has been running the ball really well. He started to turn the corner. He's made some progress. He's been getting some RB2 reps, as we know he's capable of, right? He's been running with explosiveness and power, and that power element is an element to his game that I absolutely love, that we have seen flashes of, but I don't think the Niners have simply played him enough. He's also been showing an improved ability to catch the ball out of the backfield. This is a player who the coaching staff hasn't really trusted all the time in the past because he has missed some blocks and pass protection, but when you have the lightning of Christian McCaffrey and the thunder of Jordan Mason, I'm really intrigued by the skill sets at the running back spots for both of those players. And you're looking at a situation where could the former UDFA be getting to a point where he could become the backup running back for this squad? You have Isaac Guerendo, who unfortunately suffered another hamstring injury throughout his college career. Hamstring injuries were very problematic for him. Elijah Mitchell has looked good with burst. That's certainly a good sign. So it's Elijah Mitchell, Jordan Mason kind of jockeying to be the backup running back behind Christian McCaffrey. Of note here, as we're talking about the backs, Kyle Juszczyk said this week, this might be the best running back room that he has ever been a part of with the San Francisco 49ers. Pretty impressive. Winner number 2, the rookie right guard, Dominick Puni, started flashing this week. Now, before this week, Spencer Burford, who broke his hand and is out 2 to 3 weeks, was getting every first-team rep. Good sign for Spencer Burford as he looks to improve from some Jekyll and Hyde performances his first 2 years in the NFL. But Dominick Puni has replaced him with the ones, and he's performed really well in team drills, one-on-ones, and then he's been making some adjustments. For instance, his experience has showed where he had a good blitz pickup against Fred Warner during Tuesday's practice, and then in one-on-ones, he got beat, but then Chris Forster told him and instructed him about his hand placement, and then he came back on the next rep, and he was able to handle his own. And his experience shows in the way where he played a lot of college football. Like, he entered college in 2018 with Central Missouri. He played with both of his older brothers. He's at Central Missouri for 3 years, but in 2020, the season was canceled because of COVID. Then he comes back after 2020, plays a 3rd year at Central Missouri after being there for 4 years, and then he rounds out his college career at Kansas. And in total, in his college career, 47 games, 43 starts, 27 starts at left tackle, 13 at left guard, 3 at right tackle, none at right guard, but his athleticism, his speed, his physicality, his experience has helped him play well to the point where is he going to give up the right guard role to Spencer Burford or John Feliciano? If he keeps playing this well, I'd like to see the Niners switch it up and go with the young player to start his development right now, as long as he can continue to play really well. Deommodore Lenoir has arguably been the star of Niners training camp so far, and going into this year, one of my favorite breakout candidates for this season, in a sense where, he's played well his first 3 years in the NFL. You ask him to play slot nickel, he does it. passes with flying colors. He's been elite there. You ask him to play on the outside, he's played awesome football there. He's given up 4 touchdowns total in coverage his first 3 years. But when I say that I think that he can break out, I think that this year, contract year, given what we've seen on tape, how he's performed, the talent that he has, he could end up being a Pro Bowl or All-Pro player. On one-on-ones on Tuesday, he was clamping Deebo Samuel, which is a concern for Deebo because in the Super Bowl, the Chiefs played a lot of press man and Deebo couldn't beat it. Now, when you think about Deebo and how he's used in the scheme by Kyle Shanahan, he's going to find ways to get Deebo open and get him the football. He's going to be open in space on crossers because of the scheme and the play calling and the play designs of Kyle Shanahan. And once you get the ball in the hands of Deebo, he's one of the most electric playmakers that we've seen in this generation of football. But can he beat press man? Hasn't been able to do it. Struggled with it throughout his NFL career. And Deommodore Lenoir has been able to lock down an all-pro player in Deebo Samuel. So Demo, arrow pointing up for him, who's very complimentary, too, of Brandon Staley, who said it's like having a Kyle Shanahan on defense, where Brandon Staley has been able to kind of teach him about route recognition and the nuances of playing the cornerback spot. I love to hear that. It's not like Brandon Staley is this team's defensive coordinator. He's a defensive assistant. And if he's adding to this coaching staff in a positive manner, like Deommodore Lenoir has said, that's a plus. Another winner, Nick Bosa. Last year, he did not sign his contract until September 6th. I am recording this on the final day of July. So now Nick Bosa is in training camp. He's in fantastic shape, and he's back to being his normal, dominant self. In one-on-ones and in team drills, he looks like the Defensive Player of the Year from 2 years ago, who last year, because he did not join this team until late, was just a touch off. Still had a lot of quarterback hits and quarterback pressures, some of his numbers better from the year before when he won Defensive Player of the Year, but the sack numbers were down dramatically because I thought he was just a touch off because he had no training camp practices and no preseason games under his belt. Another winner along the defensive line is Yetur Gross-Matos. He's another breakout candidate for me. Up to this point, as a former second-round pick out of Penn State, he's been somewhat disappointing to start his career, but he is a physical freak. He can play edge, he can play defensive tackle, and I think that he can have a role on this team like Arden Key and Charles Omenihu. This Niners defense has been at its best when they have those versatile type of defensive linemen who can play on the exterior and on the interior. And Yetur Gross-Matos, the measurables are unbelievable. And the production up to this point, he did play for a bad team as far as his sack totals, 2.5, 3.5, 2.5, last year 4.5. Pro Football Focus named him the most improved player on the Panthers defense. This year, I think that he can break out in a way where him and Leonard Floyd give Nick Bosa a lot of protection on that other side, on the other edge spot, but he can have 6-7 sacks with how he's utilized in this defense. Tariq Owens, the son of Terrell Owens, is he working his way to being a practice squad guy as a former UDFA? On Tuesday, caught a long touchdown during one-on-one drills when he beat Ambry Thomas, who's an experienced corner in this league, and then he caught another deep touchdown pass during 11-on-11s after he beat Rock Ya-Sin, who was a former second-round pick out of Temple, where I went to school, who's seen a lot and played a lot of football at the NFL level. So Tariq Owens, during that Tuesday practice, was able to beat and reel in those catches against solid NFL defensive backs. Coming up next, Niners training camp losers. But be sure to subscribe to the channel. I'm here in Maine, on vacation, still grinding, giving you content right here on the Niners Report. Okay, let's talk Brock Purdy here. Brock Purdy threw 7 interceptions in back-to-back practices on Monday and Tuesday. And going into Wednesday, the big question, is that a cause for concern? Now, on Wednesday, he performed very well. The Niners offense was very crisp in the red zone. He was able to link up with Ricky Pearsall, who just returned this week, coming off that hamstring injury. But you think back to last year, right? Purdy last year in training camp, coming off elbow surgery, important context, threw a bunch of interceptions. But for his career in game action in the regular season, he has a 44-15 touchdown to interception ratio. Last year, he did throw 17 interceptable passes, which ranked 17th in the NFL. That's average. But we've seen that Brock Purdy in-game action makes throws with such great timing, accuracy, anticipation, and touch. So in training camp, quarterbacks have talked about this, how they will sometimes throw balls in practice that they would never attempt to throw or complete in a game, and there's a risk assessment there. From a quarterback standpoint, let's see if I can throw this ball to the sideline, to the number, to the outside hash. Let's see if I can drive this ball and fit it in the seam. In games, we've seen Brock Purdy run this offense flawlessly. It's been a great fit for Kyle Shanahan at the quarterback spot. And he makes great decisions as far as turnover-worthy throws. The fact that he's throwing a lot of picks once again, as a quarterback, you want to protect the ball. But he's testing out his arm strength, and he's seeing what he can do and what he can't do. And then he's learning from that to apply it in game situations. So I don't really hit the panic button here, and I'm not going to name him a Niners training camp winner or loser. He's kind of in that in-between area. You also think about this summer, he's been without Trent Williams, best left tackle in the game, and his number one wide receiver in Brandon Ayuk. So it's a quarterback's job to keep the ball out of harm's way, but context is really important here. Jalen Moore, definitely a loser so far in training camp with Trent Williams out. He has really struggled, and Brock Purdy has been under duress. This Niners defense, you can chalk them up as a winner. They've done a great job of taking the early reads away from Brock Purdy, where he's had to move off those early reads, and then he's had to hold on to the ball, resulting in would-be sacks, resulting in incompletions, resulting in interceptions. And with that, this Niners offensive line has been a problem. And they, across the board, are losers really outside of Dominick Puni, because this Niners defensive line has had its way up to this point. So that is my training camp winners and losers segment, a week into training camp in Santa Clara for the San Francisco 49ers. I will be back tomorrow. We'll talk Trent Williams. We'll talk Brandon Ayuk. Any other news items that I need to get to. Going to talk about it right on this show. I got rained on. You were rocking with me on this boat, literally and figuratively. Make sure you subscribe to the 49ers Report. Really appreciate everybody for tuning in, and we'll catch you tomorrow. See ya.